same thing on the other, other side of town with the
Right.
Yankees, who, had an amazing homestand, 7-2. They're playing tonight. They won last night against the Rays. Checking the score right now for that game. But the Yankees have been, to me, they're hitting their stride. And to me, this is like, yeah, you had to see this coming. This team was way too talented to struggle the way they did. And now they're finally waking up. And I know, Brian, you as the Yankee fan, you must be pumped to see them playing better.
Well, it's just very nice to see. I mean, 5-10, you knew when they started that bad, like a lot of Yankee fans just enjoy panicking, but I mean, I kind of knew they weren't gonna stay this way for the whole season. And this past homestand proved it. I mean, good series wins against the Astros and the Nationals, who are two pretty good teams, and obviously the big sweep against the Tigers. That was pretty easy. And
A
then
get right
seven and
series.
two. Other than a few rough points on Thursday and Friday, this was a very good homestand and kind of shows the team that they really are. And the biggest takeaway from this homestand and just the recent stretch of games for the Yankees has been the pitching. The pitching has stepped up tremendously. It was shaky at the start of the season and people were getting concerned, myself included. I was very worried about the starters outside of Cole, but the starters outside of Cole have been very good for the last couple of weeks. I mean, Corey Kluber's last three starts, they've been
Outstanding.
terrific. And he really seems like, the pitcher that we signed him to be. He's looking like the Corey Kluber of old. He started off slow, but the thing that I kind of noticed is that in his best years, his Cy Young years, he always gets off to not a great start and then finishes strong. So if that's what we're getting, then that's amazing. And, Domingo Germán has stepped up after a couple of rocky starts to start the season. And Jordan Montgomery has been good too. An interesting stat that I saw, Yankee starters have allowed 3 earned runs or fewer in 20 of their last 21 games, which is crazy. And, their offense, it's been up and down the whole season. So I think with the pitching there to pick up the slack, it's been truly a blessing for this team, considering the rotation had a bunch of question marks coming in. So with the way the rotation's going and if the bats wake up and pour them to their full potential, they should be able to catch the Red Sox with ease.
Yeah, I don't know how much the Red Sox are going to be. I mean, we'll see. I mean, they're obviously playing good baseball now. Well, hopefully that'll be a good rivalry, though. I think just in general, if the Red Sox are good, that should be fun. It's always fun when the Red Sox and Yankees are good. But I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, this pitching, when your pitching is solid, I mean, I see it with the Mets obviously too, but it just helps you to be in every game. And to me, I think this Yankees offense, it's starting to get going, but as you said, it's been up and down. I mean, Giancarlo Stanton's been outstanding, which is great to see, but there's just been too many variables or, the variant play up and down too much. And I feel like with the Yankees, I mean, Kluber, he's obviously, I think, been the key right now because everyone knew Cole was going to be, the key cog. He's pitching great tonight, 0-0 right now, just ended the 6th inning. And Cole, 6 innings, 7 Ks. I feel like when you put him up, like to me, DeGrom's better, but in any other city, he'd be the best pitcher. I mean, I think he's number 2. So I think that right now, beyond him, Kluber had to be that number 2. And these last few starts, he's been doing it. And for me, my whole thing was I thought he was going to start good because obviously, he's a guy that, I thought coming in, I thought he would have been really good. And then he didn't. And I was just like, wow, that threw me for a surprise. I thought down the stretch, his arm would be a little tired just because he's coming back from the injuries, a little older, obviously. And then he just didn't. And, he didn't start good. And then now I see it kicking in. I'm like, no, now maybe he was just having a bad start, as you said, and now going to be great down the stretch. Obviously, still a ton of game left to play, but he could be the key, I think, to this Yankee season. To have that number 2 with Cole, you're going to need it in the postseason. And we'll see if Kluber can be that guy. I mean, I don't think Germán's going to be, a number 2. I think he's been solid, but I don't think he's a number 2. Same with Montgomery and Tyone. I think he has the stuff to be, a postseason pitcher, but hasn't worked out so far. But it's still so early in the season that I could see him still, stepping up. But it'll be interesting to see, kind of how that works out. But I think the pitching, if Kluber's pitching like that, I think that's what the Yankees had expected. And you have Cole, Kluber in the postseason. You're hoping your bats are good enough with that bullpen, which we didn't even talk about yet. I mean, I think they'll be just fine.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the bullpen. I just have to mention how good Aroldis
Yeah.
Chapman has been this year. It's unbelievable. I mean, he seems to strike out every single hitter he faces. And we're into mid-May, and I don't believe he's given up a run this season. So that's pretty crazy to me. And it just shows that, their bullpen is strong and they have a strong closer, which is just what you need. But you did mention Kluber and Tyone. And the thing that you kind of got to understand about these guys is they pitched one inning combined
Yeah.
in like the last 2 years. Tyone hadn't pitched in 2 full seasons because of Tommy John, and Kluber had his arm issues last year that he only pitched one inning for the Rangers. So it's not like these guys, I didn't think they were going to come back and, be themselves. It was going to take some time, but I think that as time has gone on, they've both improved, and this is a great sign. And hopefully that, they're good down the stretch, and that the Yankees have a good rotation, and that's what they need. And keep in mind, later in the season, Luis Severino could come back, but there are question marks on him too.
Yeah.
He's had injuries for a long time, and I don't exactly know how he's going to do after his Tommy John surgery, but it's nice to see the rotation is doing so well after it had so many question marks at the start of the year.
No, yeah, for sure. And just like for me, it's just like down the stretch. And like, as you said, and just I'm still questionable about that. And that's something I said it before and I'll say it again, just in the offseason, I would have loved them to add one more pitcher, like a guy that, and maybe they will, like at the deadline, and maybe they have to. We'll have to see. Maybe they're like, okay, we'll add these guys right now, and if it doesn't work out, we'll add someone, down the stretch. Which I mean, they definitely should be able to. It's just, obviously with trading, you got to work out, who you're going to give up and stuff like that. But I mean, I think that may be the key for them to make a World Series run. And in a year where it is World Series or bust, or the New York Yankees, like this pitching staff to me is still too questionable. We'll see how it is down the stretch, and that's why it's like a wait and see. But everyone that was like, panicking about the Yankees when they were 5-10, I was just like, I mean, let's slow down. There's way too much talent on this team. Like I knew that, I had the question marks about them in September and October, not in April and, May, and they're obviously showing it. And, for them, that's obviously, big, obviously I think they'll be fine. I think you probably think the same.
Yeah, I feel exactly the same way. I was definitely not in panic mode after, the first 15 games of the season, when there's 147 more games following that. And they're playing good baseball right now. I just think the bats also need to get more consistent. They're in a scoreless game against the Rays right now, threatening though. They got runners in scoring position, but I mean, they've struck out 8 times tonight through 6 innings. I mean, I know baseball's a strikeout heavy sport now, but like the strikeouts kind of gotta cut down on them. I mean, they struck out, I believe it was like 17 or 18 times on Saturday, because Scherzer struck them out 14 times and went to extra innings. So I just think that the bats definitely need to get more consistent. We've seen them heating up recently in the last homestand. I mean, Stanton has been incredible.
Ungodly.
Exactly. And Judge had a rough homestand, but he's got 2 hits tonight and he's getting better. He's finding it again. So I really think in the long run, the Yankees will be all right, just as long as they can get consistent and the pitching, stays the way it is right now.
I think that's the one thing between Mets and Yankee fans they share about being overreacting about every game. Sometimes I don't think people realize it's a 162 game season, which I feel like even when the Mets, when they lost a few games in a row, it's like, just relax. I mean, these two teams, they have solid rosters, a lot of depth. They'll work it out. And probably the Yankees, I think, they have a better roster than the Mets coming into the year. But I mean, still, way too much overreaction for, a month into a season, 15 games.